12 noon on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the West.
And this is Reprint.
This isn't breaking headlines. This is a second look with context added for perspective.
This is Reprint, edited after the headlines.
All right. Happy Juneteenth, everyone. Happy Juneteenth, and welcome to this edition of the Reprint. Good morning if you are on the West Coast. Good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. And if you are watching any other time than that, we're just happy to have you here.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, Christal. How you doing?
I am well. I am
like
well.
That T-shirt.
Oh, you know what? Lenox Parker magazine.
I like that T-shirt.
So I had to represent us today. I am in Houston, Texas, still here with my son.
Okay.
If you guys have been listening, you know that my son took a position at Rice University, and so we got him moved in. We did a tour of the school yesterday, saw his office and where he's going to be. And very proud mom.
Yes,
very proud mom. It was a great way for us to kind of spend. We're doing Juneteenth, celebrating, you know, his new position. Where are you at? You got a great background there.
I am in sunny San Diego. It's a little gloomy right now, but San Diego. My wife is out here for a conference, and so I'm out here with her, supporting her as well. So I'm out here in San Diego.
We love to hear it. We love to hear the husbands supporting the wives.
Got to support the wives. Got to.
Absolutely. So it's Juneteenth. So I'm excited. We have a great show for you guys today. We are talking about education, and we feel like, we talked about AI and technology on Monday. On Wednesday, we talked about history and culture with Jen Ferris. It was a great conversation. And today we have guests that are on the forefront of education for our community. But we thought this was the best way to celebrate Juneteenth, because I think that for me, when I think of, how do we celebrate? I'm like, it's great to have, parties and parades and, festivals. But what can we do to make sure that we are progressing, that we are moving forward?
Yes.
And so for me, that was the best way that we could celebrate Juneteenth as a media platform. We have an amazing digital cover celebrating a charter school in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Our guests today are from a school in Wilson, North Carolina. So I just felt like education put us in a great place. This is how we should be celebrating, by really connecting and figuring out how to secure our future. What do you think, Victor? I
love it. The diaspora is so big. I mean, we have people from the Caribbean, like where I'm from, Africa, all of America. And Juneteenth to me means a lot, because it's where we get to connect as a people. For a long time, we didn't have our own, 4th of July is what we go to, right, to celebrate. But this is, to me, a little bit more, because it hits closer to home as far as us being free, as far as us having a place to, or a time, a date and time for us to celebrate, you know what I'm saying? And to have the schools that we're talking about today, I think it's a full circle. We need to be here right now at this moment, because we cover so much music and TV shows and all the stuff, education and tech and stuff that really matters to our community, where the Black dollar comes back in.
Right.
This is our time and our moment to give back. And I really like this moment that we have right now. Yeah.
I think so too. I agree with you 100% as far as to me, it's like education and economic empowerment are the most important things, when it comes to pushing our community forward. And so we talked our conversation with Dr. Danaka Wardrick and Shantae Bacon earlier this week with AI and tech. I'm really looking forward to Black by Design, our tech and AI work, conference that we're doing, our one-day conference that we're doing in August, because I think a lot of people, from what I hear in our community, a lot of people are really intimidated by AI, and they are concerned about it taking their jobs. Just how to use it. I'm not the most tech savvy person myself. I struggle. And so I definitely think it's important, because one thing I do believe is when we avoid something because it intimidates us, we hurt ourselves, we hurt our community, our children, right? So making sure that we're educated and knowledgeable is important, because we pass that on, to our community, to the younger generation. So I'm looking forward to asking our guests about that today. But before we get into that, we did a story on Lenox and Parker, talking about the entertainment a little bit, about this new series on Netflix titled The Polygamist. And I've been seeing so much about it on social media that I decided to watch it on the plane coming here. It is a South African series that actually is number 3 on Netflix right now. Is number 3. And in these pictures, you see the wife who's there in the white, and then you see the mistress that the man, this very powerful businessman, he ends up, falling short, having an affair, and the series is it was hard for me to watch. It was hard for me to watch, but I think it really, outside of just saying The Polygamist, because I think the title is a little bit misleading, I think you really are seeing what happens when people position power over everything else. This man is powerful. He acts this way because he's allowed to, because of what he has. And you see the ramifications it has on his family. And so I'm interested to see what the response is going to be when people read the article, what they think about the show. Have you had a chance to see it at all, or did you see it on social?
Not yet. I have to. I saw it on came across on my Netflix feed, but I was like, I'll get back to this one. So I might check it out. Since you mentioned it, I might check it out now. I might go check it out tonight or tomorrow.
Check it out. I think. Well, and I'm interested to see how a man will receive it. For me as a woman, I'm watching it and I'm seeing the pain. And the actress that plays the wife is so passionate, and she does such a good job of really having these raw, candid feelings. You can see the pain that she's really going through because her family is in jeopardy. And I think that's to me what the biggest takeaway was. This was built on deception. The man, the patriarch of the family, navigating multiple committed relationships with the knowledge eventually everyone knew. And it's really about, do I want to allow my husband's weakness or his lack of judgment to destroy everything that we've built as a family? It's an interesting concept, because I think people make judgments until you're in a situation like that. But anyway, if you guys have a chance, check it out. The article is up on the site now. The title is Netflix's The Polygamist Isn't Really About Polygamy. It's an illustration of emotional abuse. And that's what I saw.
I don't like that. I don't like abuse.
The husband was emotionally abusive to both the wife and the woman that he was involved in an affair with. Now, that woman was also abusing. She was using her, her feminine wiles to get what she wanted. But it opens up a bigger conversation. And I think I love the fact that a South African project is number 3 in the United States. I love the fact that they're embracing other cultures, and that's a beautiful thing. But I really want to see what people think about this show. What their thought process is when they see the full season 1. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot to watch.
How many seasons? Is it just one season right now? Or
I believe there's just one season. Okay, I just watched the first season. But I think they'll definitely get a second season. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of South African projects on Netflix. They do really well.
I watch a lot of them, and they're pretty good. Some of them are kind of cheesy. Some of them have a good storyline. Some of them I don't know, but for the most part, they're pretty straightforward and good. I don't like shows where people are being abused. I mean. But some of it I understand is cultural, I guess, with the man being in power in that area or whatever. I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't like abuse. I hate it.
Yeah. Well, I think that, but I don't
like it. I don't like when people are being abused or being taken advantage of, or I just don't like that.
Yeah, I don't either. But I think it happens in every culture. I think every culture deals with the issue of power. Does power corrupt, ultimately?
Yeah, it does. It does for most parts. I think power. Power brings out where your heart is, like money. Money, the more money you make, the more it shows how you are as a person. If you're generous, you give more. If you're if you're a person that holds on to it, you hold on to it more. So I think power is the same way. I think if you're a powerful person and you understand the people around you, it's different to, person who just wants to be powerful to suppress and to keep people down, So
Yeah. I wonder though, the drive to becoming powerful, I think is often, I think what drives people to become powerful is often what makes them have those ways. I think people that
yeah.
are truly loving and, want the best for everyone, a lot of them are not driven,
They don't
to
want power. You don't want power. Yeah, you just like, you know what? I want to serve. I want to serve my people. But people who are like, I want to be in power so I can control this, or yeah.
It's two different motivations.
Yeah.
It's two different motivations. But, with that said, I think we're going to get into today's conversation. I'm super excited about our guest today. First, we have Dr. JoAnne Woodard. She is the founder and former executive director of Sallie B Howard School of Arts and Science. It's a free K through 12 public charter school established in 1997 in Wilson, North Carolina. She is the driving force behind the school's culturally diverse faculty and student body, and its current study abroad program, which sends students to countries like China, India, Africa, and Australia. I think we have our visual here. And we also have Saptosa Foster. She is the COO of the Sallie B Howard School of Arts and Science. She is also an award-winning communication strategist with over a decade of experience in public relations and media. She formerly served as the managing partner for 135th Agency, a strategic communications firm based in New York and Atlanta. They are our guests for today, so please help us welcome to the Reprint, Dr. JoAnne Woodard and Saptosa Foster. Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So excited to be here. And I just want to clarify, I'm the Chief Communications Officer. But I don't mind the other title either, but I'm Chief Communications Officer.
CCO. CCO as opposed to COO. Well, happy June. First of all, happy Juneteenth, Dr. Woodard. Thank you so much for being here. I understand that you are on a wonderful escape there in Orlando, one of my favorite places to be. Welcome and thank you for joining us.
Yes, exactly. I'm excited to be here. And let me just say at the outset that I was listening to your conversation before you brought us in. And I think it's spot on that you're using Juneteenth to focus on some very meaningful concepts that we need to expand Juneteenth to embrace.
Yes.
For example, you're talking to us about education, the meaning of education, the importance of education, how that moves us as a people so forward. And typically Juneteenth, it's about festivals, it's about parties, it's about celebrations, it's about history too, because Juneteenth is an opportunity to teach the value, the meaning, the focus of Juneteenth and the historical impact of it. But I'm so excited to be able to talk to you about the value and the focus of education within the context of Juneteenth and how we as a people move forward when we focus on that. So I just wanted to say you're spot on. It's spot on to even have this conversation with me and with others in education.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot to us because we don't take the position as being a media platform lightly. We know that it's very important to use our voice to promote the things that we know are important for our communities. And so I think we could just dive in. You founded the Sallie B Howard. I've had the opportunity to visit the school, and it is amazing what you were able to create and the legacy that you all are building there. Can you share with our viewers a little bit about what motivated you to create this school there?
Absolutely. I'm happy to. And it all starts with Sallie Baldwin Howard. The school is named in her honor. I met her when I was 39 years old in 1986. And she changed my life. I already had the PhD. I was already a staff psychologist in the area. But when I met her coming back to Wilson, she introduced me to knowledge and history that I wasn't aware of and didn't get in my education at in Wilson, North Carolina, back in the Jim Crow days. Let me just say it that way, because that's exactly what it is. I will be 80 years old next year. So I did not grow up. I did not grow up in integrated communities and things like that. So what she introduced me to were books like They Came Before Columbus, Nile Valley Civilizations, Ivan van Sertima. And at first I thought, is she serious? Why wouldn't I have known or been exposed to that? But nevertheless, it completely changed my life. That's just how it was. And when I learned about the greatness that runs through our veins as descendants of Africans, and the greatness that they showed to the world, building the civilizations and all of that in Egypt. So I said, Sallie, we've got to put that in front of the children, because if I had learned this when I was a child, perhaps the pathway of my life would have gone differently. I'm not saying it would, because I'm so happy with the direction I did go. But anyway, so that led me to starting the Youth Enrichment Program summer camp in 1989 until 1996, when the state of North Carolina introduced and established a charter law. And look, we applied for the charter school because after going 8 years for a summer program and having such positive impact on children and families, hey, we can do this as a full year-round school. So we had to apply, or we did apply to the local school system before we sent it on to the state. These people laughed at us. They literally laughed at us. And that, how in the world do these little Negroes think that they can start a school that makes any sense, a meaningful school? It takes a whole lot more than they have the background for. So anyway, I didn't even know that they had that idea, and until years later. But I tell you, look at God. When God puts something in place, it's going to succeed. And I'm telling you, we serve Black and brown children, 1,200 now, in kindergarten through 12th grade. And there's not another school in the state that can outperform these Black and brown children from low-income communities, Title I school, and all of that. We, in 2021, we were named National Blue Ribbon School. And if you're not an educator, you might not know, but that is tops. Wow. And what they acknowledged us for was closing the achievement gap between low income and middle and high income families. So even though we're Black and brown and definitely low income, we outperform in the state other schools that are serving these same kids. So let me jump to what I want to really focus on. How did we do that? How did we do that? And how did we maintain it? So that National Blue Ribbon School was quite an accomplishment. Now we are, our accomplishment academically, which is where it counts now, is that the state of North Carolina grades schools on their performance on state exams, not your local exams, the state exams. And they will give you a grade anywhere from A to F. We are A school. 89% of our students pass. And I'm talking about students from 3rd grade to 12th grade. Listen, you might have to just say, Dr. Wood, I want you to move on to something else. Because I will brag, but I'm not saying it for a reason.
Passionate,
I'm going to listen. It's for a reason. How is it that we are able to take these little crumb snatchers and these little rascals who come to us not high performing and move the whole school to the highest level of achievement in the whole state and probably nationwide too? Yeah, because of the demographics that we're serving. That's the question. How do they do that? And if anybody in the local school was interested in learning how to do that because they serve the same children. They serving the same low-income Black and brown children, and their school report card grades are F on that scale, D on that scale. So I'll tell you a few things. High expectations, people. High expectations. We love the children, and this is what I've often said back in the years when they say, well, how are you guys getting the results like that? And other schools with similar demographics cannot get them. And I just often just on the side would say, well, we love them more. I think that's what we do. We love them more. We expect more from them. Our goals are to cultivate global citizens and leaders more than kids think that they can become because of their circumstances, their environment. They're not, their ambition isn't, or their thought isn't, oh, I'm going to go to college. I think I'll be a biotech. You know, when you live in low resource homes and low resource communities, your ambition is not that high because that's not what you see around you.
Right. Dr. Woodard, let me ask you this, because my question when I hear that is what is the difference? What do the children need? Is there, because of, we know how our world is, specifically still in the South, they're in Wilson, North Carolina, because of what's happening systemically with racism, with economic disparity, do the children need a different environment to be successful? Is it important for children that are in those circumstances to have a different environment? Are they not able to learn in a typical public school environment? What is the difference in the approach and the environment that you all are cultivating there at the school that allows them to be able to be successful? Because I'm wondering, is some of that not the school, some of that has to be from something else, that's making that possible?
Yeah. Oh, I have so much to say about that. I'll try to just pick one thing to start out with, or to just really say is the most important. You have to care about allowing, pouring into kids so that they will succeed. You can't just come in and just take a paycheck and just go through the motions. What are you, the teacher and the administration, putting into your system of instruction? Is your instructional system rigorous, minimal, or you don't have to do anything but read a script?
Right.
You understand me? So we are dedicated and committed to the success of every child. And like I said, the high expectations, in order for a student at our school to get promoted to the next grade, they have to pass their teacher-led courses, the reading, the writing, the math. They also have to pass the state exam. You're not going unless all of those conditions are met. You also have to have good attendance. How are you going to be successful if you're coming late all the time and having 34, 50 absences a year? It doesn't add up. So we have a more rigorous standard for promotion. They can be retained in our school because they didn't meet those expectations and go to the public school down the street and they'll get promoted to the next grade.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they know that they don't have to do much to get to the next grade in the traditional public. And it's not just the school down the street, it's the school in the state that has low standards for achievement and promotion. So, and not just that, we're not banging them over the head. We don't have a gun to their heads when we say we have high expectations. We let them know you can do this, baby.
That's right.
This is not beyond you. Mrs. Howard said when she was alive, she died at 102. She would come to the school and she talked to the children. Here's what she would say: children, let me tell you something. She's an old lady now. Sharecropper, grew up in a sharecropping family. Okay. But achieved. She loved learning, and she got a scholarship to go to Hunter College in New York, where she got her bachelor's and master's degree in history. History was her thing. But she would say this, and this is important to know. She would say, children, let me tell you something. You are somebody. God gave you gifts, talents, and intelligences to make a way for yourself in life, but not just for yourself, but to share with others. What he gave you, you use for yourself, but you share it with others. She said this, your circumstances, honey,
that's right,
don't determine who you are or what you can become. You can be more than you think you can be, and more than your environment and your circumstances suggest that you can be. She poured that into their hearts and minds, into mine too.
I see. That's that. Obviously, what she poured into you, you were able to take. It motivated you to create that. I want to take a little bit of a pivot and ask Saptosa this, because when you hear what is being said to the children, I'm assuming you can't have that type of success without also having the cooperation and the participation of the parents and the families that support those students at home, because you have them for a limited amount of time. Saptosa, what are you all doing differently with the parents and the families of the students at Sallie B Howard that you think contributes to this overall success to the point of blue ribbon status for the school?
Yeah, Sallie B Howard started as a summer program, and that summer program launched in 1989. That program could not have gotten off the ground without the parents. So as Dr. Woodard said, she met Mrs. Howard in the 80s after returning to Wilson, and met Mrs. Howard in the church. In our town, there are three Black churches within 2 blocks. And those 3 churches became sort of like the foundation of what would become Sallie B Howard School. When Dr. Woodard decided to provide an opportunity for the youth in Wilson to learn about their heritage and to have something productive to do in the summer, it was the parents that, bolstered that had the confidence in her. Dr. Woodard is from Wilson, so she has a familiarity with the community. But that first day in 1989, when Dr. Woodard started the program and expected about 75 kids to show up at the church, 400 on day one.
Wow.
400 came on day one. And it's, literally been on and popping ever since. It never stopped. That, program flourished for 8 summers. So the parents were the ones that were like, we don't just want this as a summer program. How can we get this environment and this education year round? And so when North Carolina made charters a law in 1996, Dr. Woodard was one of the first to apply. And in 1997, the school was established. Still, as a parent, and in the 90s, charter schools, especially in North Carolina, were not popular. They're highly politicized. And, there's a lot of propaganda about them. So for you as a parent with your child, knowing that education is important, to trust an unproven school, brand new, operating out of trailers on Lipscomb Road, that required the confidence. But it's because that education, that environment, that nurturing did not exist in Wilson County, in Wilson County schools. You could not find a school that would embrace and uplift and hold high expectations for Black and brown kids at that time. So it started with that, but the leadership of Dr. Woodard to entrust with the parents became key. And the school has always been formed and operated with a parent-centered approach. So whatever are the needs that extend beyond what traditional public schools offer, whether it's mental health support, financial assistance, providing opportunities without a lot of, fees. Study abroad. Students could go around the world for free. They don't pay for travel. They only bring their spending money. And that program started from day one of the school and still exists.
Wow.
Where students, we have now, it's our high school study abroad. So I'm just saying, the school was formed with the parents and the students' needs in mind. It has a family-centered approach. And we have generations after generations of students. I spent a couple years as a teacher, and some of the students I taught in, 2001, they have students there, and we have their children. So that's the difference. It starts with those high expectations, that confidence that you are somebody, but that is why we've been so successful with our parents.
I got a question for you, Dr. JoAnne. How important is representation in our schools, male and female, just students to see Black, faces that's teaching them and that's showing them the love and showing them the care on a daily basis? How important is that? Do you think it is?
Yeah, that's very important. And just that's the reason that I introduced myself from the very beginning as Dr. Woodard, because they don't see Black women as doctor anything, and they don't even know what the doctor is. They just assume it's a medical doctor, but I'm a doctor of psychology.
Right.
But and I don't have that ego, by the way. I just did it because look at yourself over here. So representation is important, but I want to let you know we have international representation, not just Black. That's what we have. We have lots of teachers. And part of that reason was in the beginning, as she said, people didn't trust or didn't know, even the banks that we had been working with and bought land under. When we asked them to sponsor us for the initial opening of the school, they just walked us down. Walked us down. No, they just kept asking for things, and then ultimately, but I don't blame them because it was so brand new. Yeah. Will this investment pay off? How long a charter is going to be around? This is so new. So so because of that, but we were always courted from companies that wanted to bring foreign teachers, international teachers, and that's how we got started. We have the most diverse teaching faculty, and that turned out to be a very good thing for our idea that we want to cultivate global citizens, that they would be comfortable on the world stage. You can't just think about just Eastern North Carolina and think that's going to be your world as far as you can go. You got to go see this world and get comfortable up there, and even go to think about going to school over there in India instead of here in the United States. So that was from the very beginning. And so we have Filipino, we have all kinds of South American teachers from Colombia, from Mexico, from everywhere. We've got a lot of Jamaican teachers, a lot of you can help me with that, Saptosa, but all of them.
Lots of accents in the building.
And that was good for us because. And you would think that the parents would be complaining that, hey, Dr. Woodard, I want my child out of that class because they can't understand what the teacher is saying. That has never, ever happened. Not because they do speak English, but because it's a part of the background. It's just part of the background. They don't, and the teachers are as good as any other teachers we can get. So that diversity and representation you're talking about, we have kids, just about half of our kids, maybe 40% of our kids speak Spanish. They are Hispanic. And I would say something about that too, that our American people, our American parents take their children's education for granted. But these parents from a foreign country, they are here for the purpose of getting their child an education that they can do better. So these parents take their child's education very seriously, and their conduct and their behavior very seriously too. So we have very few foreign students who are getting suspended every week. You hear me? Because they're not having that in the house. They're coming there for a purpose, and those parents are pouring that into their mind. Our American English parents, hey, it's just a thing.
Yeah.
Not you know, we can't become the highest performing school in the state with that attitude. So I'm not trying to say that is their attitude, but we take things for granted in this country.
Absolutely.
So when you grew up in the Jim Crow era and you only could live on one side of town, you had a different perspective on yourself and your future. But if you come up after that and, you know, everything is what it is and you don't have to make an effort.
You don't understand the sacrifices.
Yes, to get the right to get yourself anywhere. It's a different thing. Go ahead.
It is. I think that we don't always understand the sacrifices because you haven't felt it. And that's understandable. I love what you said about preparing them to be global citizens. And, you know, from some places as maybe as small as Wilson, North Carolina, having these experiences that connect them internationally. But speaking of that, I want to ask you this, because there's a lot of people that will listen to this later on Spotify or could be watching on Instagram or YouTube and do not have the access to a Sallie B Howard, right? But we do know that we all have access to the polls, and there's a lot happening that can be very discouraging. I think people see a lot of discouraging things politically in their own community. And so as a person who taught very briefly for a small period of time during the No Child Left Behind era, and I remember the schools being public schools being very stressed and really being moved to do things that were, in my opinion, unethical because they did not want to lose the money, did not want to lose accreditation. That was all things that people voted for that people did not understand. My question to you, Dr. Woodard, and also Saptosa, is what can people be doing now that are parents, but also are just citizens and want to be good citizens, want to make sure that they are contributing? What do we need to be looking for politically? What do we need to be demanding from the council people and the representation, the political representation in our cities and our counties, so that we're ensuring that we are laying a groundwork that education is prioritized when it comes to the polls every year?
Well, they have to be advocates for education and educational reform and educational change. They have to go to those school board meetings. They have to go to the city council meetings, the county commissioners meetings, and have an advocate for what? Even advocate for a teacher pay, raising the teacher pay. Because in North Carolina, that hasn't been raised in a number of years, and they just can't find a way to pass a budget properly and all of that. Advocate. That's one thing they can do politically to push. They can also run for they can replace some of these people that are not in support of charters or not in support of education the way it should be. We have a brand new Sallie B Howard graduate, Hispanic young man called Eduardo Piscaso Herrera, who has just been elected into the city council. And that's never.
Wow.
He's Hispanic. Never. And he's coming to represent. He's coming to not make noise, but to advocate for change and for attention on things that the city has not given attention to, such as the ICE thing and all of that. So he just simply and not cautiously, he simply said, we need to have a policy. We need to talk about what will we do when ICE comes to Wilson? How will we respond? And that was the biggest noise in the county. But, so that is huge change for first time in the history of this town that there's an Hispanic member on the city council, and he is not just passive. So, parents and community people can do a lot. The time right now, you look across the country, people are getting out there to just ordinary people. I'm thinking about Minneapolis and trying to protect those families there. That has really initiated and triggered similar actions on, because the people have the power. We have to understand that. The people have the power to make change, not those people that you elected and put on those boards.
I love that. Dr. Wood, you got me all fired up. I'm feeling like I need to go out and do something.
That's what Michelle Obama said. She just said that too, didn't she? We got to go out and do stuff.
We have to go out and do stuff. Saptosa, I know I had a conversation with you earlier this year about what was happening in Wilson, even with students and in response to ICE and a lot of the things that we were hearing. I think it's important that people do understand, because if you, like myself, my children are grown, so I didn't have that experience. I wasn't aware. I see what happened on the news, but talking to you, someone that was in the school and was dealing with the parents and dealing with children and the emotional concern just on both sides. Can you talk a little bit about how you all handled that, and what are some things that people who did not have children in schools might not have known about what just happened this past year?
Yeah, that was a time of a lot of anxiety across the board, not just from the Hispanic community, but from our school in general. We have a large Hispanic population. And what, as a leadership team, we did was we tried to make sure we clearly understood the law about what this process was supposed to look like. Now, we were going by the law. We were going by what our school attorney said is the law. And, we developed some communications about that. Now, we know over time what was legal was not always what was being enacted on the streets. So we also partnered with activists locally, and I would say unofficially partnered, but we received support and information from nonprofits like Casa Azul de Wilson, and just people that were providing information that was a little bit more relevant to our community about, what can happen, what your rights are. And we were supporting our families. We listened to our families. We listened to our staff. Like Dr. Woodard said, we have a significant amount of international staff that also was very concerned about their citizenship. So, we were able to get through that, intact. I will say, different social calamities are not new to our school. The way our school handled the pandemic was remarkable. And it was a masterclass in unity, because we did not return to our building for a year, but we did require virtual school. And that was optional in our state. You did not have to require that. So the fact that we were consistent, those same high standards that we had in person in the building, in the classroom, we applied that in our virtual setting. And as a result, our school's learning loss was not as drastic as the state comparatively. We still, our students still took the EOG, even though in the state it did not count for maybe 1 or 2 years, but we still took it. And that really, again, we believed that our students could step up to the challenge. And, as far as, the immigration challenges, which are not over, that is still an issue. We listen to our parents. We give factual information, but we come together as a community to address their concerns.
I want to just ask you just to stay right there for a minute, because, and both of you can respond to this. I've heard so many people say that during the pandemic, so many students lost. I mean, there's a huge gap in what was lost during those times, not just academically, but also socially. And just, for a lot of the social development for some of those students that were very young during that time. Those students are still, progressing through the system. What can parents do, and what can the community do to really support those students that did? I mean, if you're in the 5th grade and you go through this year and a half of disconnect, that creates a very different reality for them, than the rest of us that were adults during that time. What can communities and parents do to support those children that did, go through that and still are living in a very different, all of us are living in a very different world,
They have to prioritize attendance. That's the easiest thing, is to make sure your child is going to school. then you have to kind of take a little bit more of an involved role in their lessons, their homework. What are their grades? Most schools today, you can see their grades every day through, SIS platforms like Power School, Infinite Campus. You could check their grades. It should not be a surprise when they get their report card. Parents don't have to have that subject matter knowledge. I know I hear that when people like, oh, I have an older high school child, I can't help them with their algebra. You don't need that. You need to create that consistency. And soon as you start understanding what their grades are, their strengths and weaknesses, that's when you can identify and work with your teacher about what the learning gaps are. If there are emotional issues, if there are learning disabilities, you just have to lock in. Gone are the days where you could just send your child to school and then you go to work and you're not even thinking about. You have to be in it to win it. My sister has children. My brother has children. And
what's happening here?
I think she froze for us. Saptosa froze for a second.
Yeah.
She's frozen.
Well, look, the parent involvement, is really important. And so therefore, parents have to have a relationship with the teachers, man. You gotta connect with the teachers. And nowadays, the ability to communicate instantly with teachers through these apps, and we require it, is no reason that you can't know, hey, my child, we have teachers that will produce a 5-minute video and send it to the parents so that they can have a better idea of what the child is supposed to be doing and then help them with that.
Amazing.
So the teacher does that and sends it out when parents don't understand what to do. So, but if you won't get that unless you have a relationship with that teacher, so if your child is not doing well, it's not always, and probably never is, the teacher's fault. The child is struggling, and you got to jump in and get with the teacher and ask the teacher, so what can I do here? How do I help him? And I want
to ask another question because there's a lot of information here.
I know.
Education that is in the news all the time. Obviously, there's concern for safety. We've heard so many school shootings and tragedies happening at private schools, public schools across the country. How do you all, first of all, what do you think is happening just because you're on the ground, on boots on the ground with young people and this is happening more and more. It's becoming almost normalized. But what are you all doing or what have you put in place to make parents feel safe? I know here in Atlanta, parents were arguing with administration over kids having access to their cell phones, because if something does happen in the school, you want to make sure that you have access to your child. The idea of children being in a safe space, schools being used becoming more and more of an environment for violence is very alarming. What are you all's thoughts on where we are with that, with gun violence in schools?
Well, the first thing I think of is fallout from the pandemic and the isolation that children experience for a year and a half. No contact, no social connection with friends, and that's part of the output. That's part of the outcome of isolation. But the after that, I want to say that oh boy, I lost my train of thought because I got stuck on that on the isolation. That you can't minimize what that did to the children.
Yeah, no problem. Definitely the isolation, but which is exacerbated by social media, because you can, as a young person, fall into all kinds of black holes of misinformation, toxicity. But there's also, like, just socially in this country, there's no one, I think one reason why school violence is on the uptick, because they see school violence in a lot of media, or they see violence in general. The mental health is definitely an issue, and the access to guns is at an all-time high in many states. it's, just go to Walmart and, and look like a
True.
grown man.
Yeah.
So that's, a kind of a cocktail of all kinds of things. But at Sallie B Howard, we have a lot of structure. We have a lot of structure, a lot of supervision, and the culture that we have really nurtures and rewards positive behavior versus becoming a school that's just like a militant police state, kind of school. We are very strict. We even, as we're in our summer period and we're going to begin a new school year. For the new kids that come to our school for the first time, they kind of stand out. They stick out like a sore thumb because they have all of this, behaviors that are foreign to us. And so we run a strict program at Sallie B. Your uniform, the way you speak to people, the way you address teachers. We have a character ed program called Pride, Perseverance, Respect, Integrity, discipline, and excellence. Did I get that right, Dr.?
Yeah, you got it right.
Okay, all right. And so you get rewarded just as if you would, just like you would to make the A honor roll. We praise. We have a nurtured heart approach, which is a heart-centered approach to teaching. Again, rewarding positive behavior, not obsessing and glorifying negative behavior, giving attention. So a lot of that, is in our culture as a school, and it does give you some sense of security, not total, because we live in this world, but we, there's a difference when you step on foot on campus. There's accountability for teachers and staff. All of these things matter, and they make a difference when, in situations where things slip through the cracks and you got somebody coming on campus causing trouble, or you got, supervision, things like that. So we're very fortunate that has allowed us to keep a safe and orderly school.
I got
Just
a
one
question.
more thing to add to that the discipline policy is pretty strict too. Two instances where you got into a scuffle, you're going to be long-term suspended or sent to another school. 2 instances which you've been vaping, just 2 in the year, not 2 together, but 2 throughout the year. You reach that second incident, you're going to be long-term suspended. Or there's something in North Carolina where the child can be sent back to their district school.
Yeah.
So
we don't play around. That's too much of a distraction.
That's right.
To keep
I got a question. No, it's fine. With the polarizing administration that we have right now, in the White House, and we see the rise of racial discrimination and racial issues across the world, especially here in America, right? Especially in the South. How do you guys deal with that at the school? And do you have a high percentage of like white kids that come to school as well?
No, it's not a large percentage. We're, like 99% Black and Hispanic. And maybe out of 1,200 kids, we might have 35 that are Caucasian. How
do they interact with the kid? How does it work? Like, is it tension? Is it fine or okay?
No, they're fine.
I'm curious because most of these other way around. Most of these mostly white kids, and then you have like 50% Black. So I was wondering how that worked with the parents and okay.
We're set up. We definitely promote diversity and we uplift individuality. So there isn't this idea that you're not accepted because you don't look like us. That is a dynamic in this country that is fueled by white supremacy, racism. So that this environment is not that. You can find your own tribe within the school, and it's all embraced. We all, excel, and we support kids of all races. It's just the demographics of our community make it what it is.
Yeah.
And there's a question from one of our loyal viewers, Edna Perkins. She asked, are you FERPA or special ed parents visiting, or are they allowed to not?
Oh, sure. We've always had a strong special ed program for the extremely disabled, where they're just they have to be in a room because they may have they may not be hearing, they may not be able to speak. So we go from just the regular, EC kid that can actually be placed in a regular ed class, but have some pull out help or some push in help. We go from that level all the way to the very, very severely disabled, and we've always had it.
Yeah,
so, we've got special ed.
We are one of the highest. Our EC kids are one of the highest performing in the state. We actually got an award for that last year. We were recognized by the state for that. And it's again, we don't isolate students with an IEP or whatever and think, well, let's separate them so we can keep our achievement numbers high. No, they are integrated into the classroom. They get pull-out resource when necessary. And, the expectations are high for them. We're not, we expect
they're taking the same exam
to pass the test. That's right.
They have to take the same state exams. Most of them. A handful take a different exam, but most of them, 99%, take the state exam. So, and that's one of the reasons they're in the regular ed class, getting instruction from the same teacher who's accountable for all the children passing.
That's right.
So we're not
this idea, I want to add something. When we became an A school last year, there was an idea, maybe a little bit of nervousness among the parents that we will only prioritize academic achievement. And we recognize that getting an A doesn't happen just from the test, but you have to have support in so many areas of our school population, mental health support, all kinds of support, social support. So those students who may be struggling, may be retained or whatnot, we are investing our energy into that as well. We want to bring everybody along, not just the high flyers or the high performers. Everybody needs. We are embracing. So the A is a sort of a 10-year evolution of being consistent with learners of all levels. So our EC program gets taken seriously, gets investment. We take we listen to parents. We hold our teachers accountable for the things that they're supposed to be doing in those IEPs and 504s. That's very important. So it's not all about getting an A for us.
No,
you can lose it too. It's not guaranteed. So
I got one more question. One last question. How's the food?
Let Dr. Wynn talk about that.
That's the best part. When the students leave Sallie B Howard, because we were not always a K-12, only K-12 since 2020, and then that was the pandemic year. So 2021, we had children in the high schoolers in the building. So that's not long. So all the years, the 25 years before that, we were only K-8. And those children would leave Sallie B Howard. And if you ask them after they had to go to the public school for high school, what did you like about Sallie B Howard? The food. The food. What do you miss about Sallie B Howard? The food. Because we don't take frozen plates and heat them and put them up and serve them to the kids. These teachers, these servers, these cafeteria people, they cook, honey. They cook in the kitchen and serve cooked food. Like tell them some of the ones that they
pot
love.
Roast. We have Thanksgiving meals around Thanksgiving. We have
some of the favorites that the kids, chicken Alfredo,
nachos. They love the chicken Alfredo. We have burgers, of course. We do. Our staff does more cooking, but that kind of came out of necessity, because when Sallie B first started, we weren't getting the same kind of buy-in from other food purveyors and vendors. Like we couldn't use the same. Like Dr. Woodard, you said that we were getting old fruits and produce, secondhand stuff, because we were not in the traditional public system. So we've had to, have our own understanding of, and cook more. We definitely cook more than the average, and our meals are nutritionally balanced. You can't come to Sallie B and eat Well, first of all school breakfast and lunch are free for everyone. You don't need to apply. You don't need to have lunch money. It's free for everyone. But you will be served, a balanced meal. Now, whether the child eats it, that's not under our control. But I was astonished that in other schools, you could literally get a bag of chips and pizza every day.
You can, yeah.
Every day.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Our child nutrition director in the early years went around and asked the children how they liked the food that they were eating and what would they like to have instead. So there's a lot of investment from the cafeteria team to make sure that what they're preparing, the kids are going to eat it.
So,
that's important.
It's funny, but really, food, if they're eating a bag of chips or a bag of M&Ms and that's it, that does affect their ability to
learn.
100%.
No, it does. Yeah.
And we don't serve any pork at any time. Yeah. I love pork. Don't get me wrong. I'm not judging pork, but we are not doing. We never have done that.
No.
Because we have Muslim kids. We have kids that have the parents. We're just taking care of it.
Yeah.
I love this. I think this has been, if you guys are just tuning in, we've been talking with Dr. JoAnne Woodard and Saptosa Foster. Dr. Woodard founded Sallie B Howard, which is a charter school in Wilson, North Carolina. And we felt like it was important for us to celebrate Juneteenth by, first of all, giving an inspirational conversation and really focusing on education, because we know that our future is going to be determined by the students that are at Sallie B Howard and across the country. They are going to determine the future. So just hearing this has been really aspirational. I want to include you all in our, every day we do an inspiration, we also celebrate a Black business. And so today our Black business of the day obviously would be Sallie B Howard. We encourage you all, we've supported the school in the news, in our platforms. We encourage you all to go to their website and see all the amazing things that are being done at the school. But our affirmation quote of the day is, I think, one that gels really nicely in what Dr. Woodard and Saptosa have talked about instilling in the young people, because we know that not only should we instill it in them, but sometimes we have to instill it in ourselves as well.
Oh, yes.
And so today's affirmation is, I speak with wisdom and authority and others respect me. The quote comes from a conversation by Confucius that said, respect yourself and others will respect you. This made me think a lot about what you said earlier, Dr. Woodard, about expectation and pouring expectation into the students. And I wonder what your thoughts are on this affirmation quote of, I speak with wisdom and authority and others respect me. How do we teach children to respect themselves and to walk into a room knowing that they deserve respect from others?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to let them know that they are somebody. You don't go in with your head hanging down because you don't have looks like other people have, that they are somebody. If you can pour that into them and then prove it, then show them and prove it, they will take that with them and walk with their heads held high.
Absolutely. Saptosa.
Amen.
Yeah, I think that, the self-esteem that comes from knowing who you are, you display that with the way that you carry yourself, the way that you speak. So, I'm very big on, confidence, self-trust, self-respect. And I, through my adult life and my career, I have, seen the benefit and the necessity, especially us as Black people, for speaking with authority, respecting ourselves. I'm very fortunate to work in an environment where that is a core value and that is demonstrated every day. So I love that affirmation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've loved this. This has been an amazing, I think, what a beautiful way to celebrate Juneteenth with this conversation. I got to ask you, Dr. Woodard, any last minute thoughts? I could listen to you for the entire day, just your outlook on our community. But as we look forward to, this is kind of the midpoint, we're a little past the midpoint of 2026. We are going into midterms. We're going into the holidays. There's always a lot of things. We're all kind of distracted by what we see in the news and what we see on social media. Any words of just inspiration from your perspective, not just to young ones, but to people that, you know, may be struggling. We know inflation is high. There's just a lot going on that could be discouraging sometimes. How can we pull ourselves up so that we're able to finish 2026 strong, knowing that, you know, we have the confidence of moving into the future?
Well, the only thing that comes to mind, the first thing that comes to mind is that let people know you have power. You have power, and we have to exercise it. And the biggest thing we have now is the vote. Don't sit home and sit it out because you're discouraged by what's going on. At least get out and vote. If you're not going to even go out and register people to vote, you know, the minimum that we have to do in this time to make a change and to move things in a different direction is to vote. That's all.
Well said. Well said.
I think Dr. Woodard has said a lot of it best. I think that voting absolutely is essential, but also you can do other things in addition to voting that are just as effective. People, your elected officials, respond to those who engage with them. Yes. If you really have a concern and a need, it is easy and free to call, write, email, or show up to these meetings and to find out, to take a closer eye to what these elected officials are doing. They, you know, the squeakiest wheel gets the oil. And that's exactly what we need to be thinking about. You can do more things than vote. And I think I'm thinking about the people that's like, oh, voting doesn't matter. Voting absolutely matters, but voting in with also effort and works and involvement is the key to change.
Thank you. That's good.
Very well said. Very well said. Yes. Well, Victor, I think I'm proud of us. I think this was a great way for Lenox and Parker to celebrate Juneteenth.
It was. Yeah. It is.
Thank you for having us.
I got the 60-second video of the school. I can play that real quick.
Yeah, let's look at our Black business of the day. We're celebrating Sallie B Howard School.
Okay.
We want the best for our children. The best schools. Ones with high standards and unique learning opportunities. At Sallie B Howard, we're a public charter school committed to ensuring every student succeeds at school and in life. That success begins with an education that meets your child's needs. One that's full of possibilities. Enriching, inspiring, and rooted in culture and character. That's who we are. That's what we offer. And the best part? It's free, public, and open to all.
I love that. I love that. Well, you guys, I just want to thank both of you. Especially Dr. Woodard, who's out there in Orlando. You're on mute, so you may want to unmute your microphone. It puts us on mute after a video. We appreciate the fact that you all took the time to spend Juneteenth afternoon with us here, and we just want to commend you for the amazing work. Dr. Woodard, you are one of our heroes, our living legends. That is as I can't even imagine. And you know, we're giving you your verbal flowers, but all that you've done for our community. She is the embodiment of a cultural hero and legend. So we thank you so much for what you've done. Saptosa, you are as well. I've always been in awe of the legacy that you are a part of, and we thank you so much for being a part of our broadcast today. So we want to say to everyone watching, happy Juneteenth, be encouraged. And know we are on our way. There are people in our communities that are out here doing amazing things. There are children surviving, and what we expect from them, they can rise to.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful conversation. You guys are
excellent. I'm inspired right now.
Thank you. You all enjoy the rest of your day. If you want to see this, you can also visit more from this. You can visit LenoxandParker.com. Of course, we are available on Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram. Love you guys for watching, and happy Juneteenth. We'll see you next time.
Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.